Hello to all. I'm Mark O'Brien. I'm a priest of the Dominican Order and I lecture in Old Testament studies at the University of Divinity in Melbourne. And I'm the current chair of the ATF Trust, which helps to support the publication of theological books and journals through the ATF Press. It's close to 25 years that the Trust, founded in 1996, has been supporting hundreds of books and 5 journals that the ATF has published to date. Now, the Trust was established as a tax-deductible body in the Register of Cultural Organisations so that people like your good selves who appreciate the need for books on religion and culture can support its work. Like you, we've changed over the years. We used to be exclusively Australian, but with international distribution in the UK and the United States, also in Spain, France and South America, our readership has become truly international, and so have our authors. The internet has also changed the way we publish books, so that you can now buy ATF books in EPUB form, what is called EPUB, electronic publications, as well as in print form. And our subjects have also expanded to include social ethics and even space. And we're on track to publish more books on outer space with the International Space University in Adelaide. So as we grow and enhance our offerings, we're looking to you for support in helping us secure the longevity of the ATF Press. And it remains one of the few and focused publishers of theological literature today in Australia. Now, may I finish by quoting one of our main donors who says, "It's important to give Australian theologians, philosophers, ethicists, historians and sociologists the opportunity to get into print." And so we're asking you to please help us by making your donation today. And thank you very kindly for your attention.
Rachael Kohn. Many of you know me as someone who brought you over 1,000 religion programs on ABC Radio National. When I retired in December 2018, I knew that I had brought you only a small fraction of the stories and the voices from our collective heritage. Brave people who thought and acted against the crowd. Like Pastor Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who lost his life because he resisted the Nazis. People not chained by their religion, but released by it to speak truths, like Australia's Father Frank Brennan. And visionary people, like the French scientist and theologian Jacques Arnould, who contemplates what alien life might mean for belief in God. I'm a board member of the ATF Australia. Through its press, we've helped bring their stories and many more to you. I know that some names and issues grab the headlines, but it's only publishers like ATF Press who invite you to explore the backstories, the personal journeys, and the biblical inspirations from Jeremiah to Jesus and beyond. I was deeply impressed by the high quality of scholarship of the ATF Press, covering areas such as history, theology, biblical studies, art, science, and the environment. And it made me want to support the ongoing work of the ATF. Now, I'm asking you for your support. As a board member, I'm thankful for the financial assistance that the ATF Press receives from the Trust. That money helps the ATF Press not only publish books, but promote them on its website, through social media, and at international book fairs alongside other major publishers. It helps us mount publicity campaigns and also to buy computers, update our software, and most especially to honor the great thinkers and writers who have published with us, like Dorothy Lee. I hope you'll consider making a donation to help us keep ATF Press bringing you great reading.
As I have said elsewhere, I said it particularly in the launch of the very important contribution to the Scholars Collection of Professor Dorothy Lee's book, I said there that perhaps collections of studies from people gathered together into one volume are not the most financially profitable activities of a publishing house. People generally, anyway, in my experience, large publishing houses are unwilling to take on a collection of essays. But under the direction of Hilary Regan, the Australian Theological Foundation has pushed aggressively forward in this series of Scholars Collection to gather studies from those of us who have worked for many years in this area and to put them together in very, very beautifully produced volumes. This collection is now becoming longer and longer. Initially, it began, as Father Mark was saying, with largely Australian collections, with some very important people in those Australian collections, biblical scholars, people heavily involved in Australian society and the impact of Christian values in Australian society, reflections upon the philosophical nature of religion in Australia. So there's been quite an Australian focus on the early volumes. The value of that particular contribution, of which I am a part, and proud to be a part, is that it affords a newer generation an opportunity to recognise that as they emerge in this contemporary theological world, they have shoulders upon which they can stand. And now essays published in European or American or even South American journals have all been gathered together under our names and put into this single volume. And I think many of our contemporary younger scholars will be amazed when they open up some of the volumes in the Scholars Collection and see the quality of the material and the extent of the material that Australian scholars have made over the last 40 or 50 years. But now I'm pleased to hear from Hilary himself that the collection is reaching out and that we're now going to publish in this same collection important essays from people in other parts of the world.
my name is Jacques Arnaud. I'm working for the French Space Agency in Paris, where I am now. The challenge for me was communication, because we engaged in the French Space Agency a real interesting reflection concerning space enterprise, space travel, space exploration. And ethics in space is very new. And the challenge was to share our interrogation, our discoveries. By chance, I met ATF 15 years ago. First, in my domain of science, society, and religion, and I was lucky to publish by ATF Press a book about Darwin, evolution, and creation. And after, by ATF Press, by ATF France, I am lucky now to publish my book concerning space ethics. On the road, I met not only ATF, but also the University of South Australia and, as it was mentioned, the International Space University. And all this combination of people coming from Australia, from France, for other countries around the world, we can now build a contribution to the space ethical interrogation. And I hope we can do that in the future more and more in the direction of young people, especially in university, but also other people interested today by space enterprise. And it's a very lot of question, because as you know now, we are writing a new chapter of space by the new space activities. We need, as people from space, we need people as ATF Press, ATF France, to share our interrogation. And that's the reason now I'm asking you for your support to this enterprise. Thank you.
In 2004, I was fortunate enough to receive the ATF Book Prize for a monograph I'd written on the Gospel of John, titled Flesh and Glory. It was a delightful surprise for me to win this. The book itself was published by Crossroad in New York. So from that time, and probably before, because I knew of them, I owe a lot to ATF and to the work of Hilary Regan, the marvellous work that the press has done. More recently, I've published a collection of essays and articles from the last 2 decades of my academic work in the ATF Scholars Edition. This particular one is entitled Creation, Matter and the Image of God, and it's again focused on the fourth gospel. The ATF Scholars Collection is a very important series, and I know of no other publisher doing anything quite like this. Already, apart from my own, there are 6 publications in this series. There are publications by Anthony Campbell, Frank Brennan, Francis Maloney, Dennis Edwards, Anthony Kelly, and also Bruce Kay. This is a great resource. It enables us to acknowledge and to publicise Australian scholarship in theology and in theological ethics. I strongly support this appeal on the basis of my own experience and my own reading, and I strongly support the marvellous work being done by the ATF Press. And I encourage you to give your support to their work in whatever way that you can. Thank you.
I am Hilary Masson from ATF France. I am very glad to be part of this campaign in support to ATF's work. I cannot say that I know the whole catalogue of ATF. Too much has been achieved, but I know some of it. And for instance, I remember vividly that day, that was in Paris, when Mr. Regan came carrying a big book, a very big one. That was a diary, the diary of the Council, written by prominent Dominican theologian Yves Congar. This man was a major contributor to the Vatican II Council and a great leader in ecumenical dialogue, as well as a great leader as well in the renewal of theological studies in the 20th century. And all along the Council, he wrote his diary. Needless to say that this document was priceless. Until then, though, this huge and precious opus was available only in French. Probably no one did dare to undertake such a translation. As a matter of fact, no one did. ATF made it available for a much bigger audience, and I was impressed because this was a big challenge. Translation is always a very big challenge and a very big risk too, technically, financially. ATF did it. That was awesome. I also think of the long-term cooperation between ATF and the French writer Jacques Arnoux, a scientist specialized in space studies, theologian as well. His contribution is momentous for science as well as for theology, and also for the fruitful confrontation of the two. Moreover, his skills in writing and pedagogy enable him to write books of deep insight and also very accessible. Well, I need not say more in order to express my appreciation of the work accomplished by ATF. And I would like to urge you, please be part of this by supporting this work, by allowing great books to come to light. Support ATF. Thank you very much.
I'm Hilary Regan, and I believe I have one of the most exciting jobs in the world. That is, the important task of overseeing and turning people's words and ideas into books. Being CEO of an organisation is a bit like being the conductor of an orchestra. You bring together the various elements involved in a project to make it a beautiful and a unique result. That is what I think we have been doing with ATF Press. I have been involved with the press for the last 30 years. I have seen it grow from a very small organisation to what is now a significant international publisher. We not only have authors from around the world, but we now have publications in various languages, and we have various methods of distribution around the world. It is unique. It is challenging and it's exciting, but it relies on the support it gets from the ATF Literary Fund. As the press has grown over the years, so have the expenses, and those expenses have been subsidised by the work of the Literary Trust. That money to promote books and to publish books has been outlined by Rachael earlier on. We can offer a whole range of our publications at accessible prices to all of those who wish to buy them. To put it in short, you could say it is more books, more authors at better prices. Everyone who believes in the importance of publications, in quality scholarship, in the interface between religion and other disciplines, of addressing areas of social, historical and cultural concern are invited and encouraged to come and join us and be associated with what we do. I'm encouraged by the words that various people use when they make donations to this fund. They say things like, they want to promote ecumenical dialogue and support interfaith work. They want to keep progressing scholarship in the area of religion. They want to provide money for translations of books. They want to enable Australian authors to get to more markets overseas. They want us to address areas of social, cultural, historical concern. And they like the books that we do on art and in environmental issues. All of us here at ATF Press want you to share in this exciting work and show your appreciation by making a donation to the Capital Fund and this campaign. The details of how you can make that donation are at the bottom of this. We thank you for your generous donation.